Three, two, one. Hello, everyone, and welcome back to another episode of Tavern Adjacent. Thank you so much to FallCosplay, aka Nixie from One For All, for coming on to the show. We finally did it.
Yeah, finally.
It's all good. Stuff happens, but, we're here now, and that's all that matters. How you feeling today? Just did a workout? You feeling good?
Yeah, good. I had a workout this morning and then came back and got ready for this.
Well, I really appreciate that. I had like a whole day today and came back and time zone stuff happened before I realized, oh crap, I gotta do that now.
That's the issue with time zones is like it's almost like you can't just work in like one sphere. You have to like work in like two spheres now because it's like it's not just my time, but it's also their time as well.
Yeah,
So
everything's
things just
gotta
sort of
it's
lines
everything's
up.
gotta happen on a schedule that sometimes you just cannot comprehend. But hey, we made it
Yeah.
work, and that's all that matters.
Yeah, exactly.
Exactly. So, in any case, gotta ask number one thing. Obviously, you are very popular on the show One For All. Lots of people love Nixie as a character for good reason. You do a great job playing her, and she's a great character. Lots of fun. I gotta ask though,
She's a lot of
like
fun.
you went from doing cosplay to being on a show that blew up in the D&D sphere, and you were on that production team for a while even before that. So what was that onboarding process like, going from doing cosplay on your own to doing with this whole cast and crew and all that? Like what was that transition like for you?
Well, as far as like acting and filming and stuff goes, I've actually been doing acting since I was about 7.
Dang.
So yeah, so I did like I went to like acting schools, I had like agents, and all that sort of stuff. And then it was about the time I got to high school that I was like, no, I actually really want to, because like acting's not a secure career. And so I was like, all right, well, I should probably have a backup plan. And so I took school a bit more seriously. I stopped working with my agent, and I still did a few things. Like I did like a few episodes on Home and Away. I did another like I was a murder victim, actually of like true crime. So it was a true crime reenactment. So I've done acting before. I'm not. In fact, I actually got this role because a friend that I knew through cosplay, who is Andreas on the show, Forgeling, he saw me at one of my performances and was just like, hey, I'm working with some people who are wanting to develop a D&D show, and I thought that you'd be really into it because I know that you like D&D and you're an actor, so I thought you'd appreciate this. And I'm like, sick.
Yeah, so
And I
you've
think
been
the
around it.
benefits...
You're not fresh off the boat.
No. Yeah, no, I've been doing like acting and modeling since I was a kid. And yeah, so I mean, that definitely wasn't the scary part at all for me. If anything, it's just because like even when I did cosplay, I don't think I actually went as hard as I've ever gone for Nixie. Because Nixie's like it's prosthetics,
Yeah,
it's
it's a whole
ear
thing.
prosthetics, it's teeth prosthetics, it's eye, like massive eye contact, it's full body paint. Like it's a lot of work. And to be honest, I don't think I really thought about making it an easy costume when I first designed her.
Oh, it was
So,
your design behind the character?
initially, yeah.
Dang.
So we all got the freedom. So when we first kind of did like a reading of the first script, which funnily enough, we've actually never filmed. Like that first script that we used as like a reading to kind of get used to our characters, we actually never ended up using that. But yeah, so afterwards we kind of just got to like kind of talk about like influences for our character. We got to design the costume because we were all individually making our own costumes. So all 3 of the adventuring cast have a cosplay and sewing background. So we're all able to kind of design and create our own costumes for our characters. And so, yeah, so I got to design her first costume, and then after that I handed over the reins to Eva, who did the rest of the costumes for the other seasons.
That's awesome. I mean, it's just interesting because almost everyone we talk to here, they talk about how sudden the whole like jumping into the career was for them and how surprising it was. Like, you know, Bob Worldbuilder, he went from like teaching people about like outdoors and plants and stuff to being a D&D YouTuber. Like Duke from One Shot Quips, he went from being a parkour instructor to being a D&D skit guy on TikTok, you know, and it all just happened so quickly. But for you, like you've been in this industry, maybe not D&D specifically, but you've been in the industry for a while. And it's interesting what you said. You wanted to jump off of film to do cosplay. Is that what you said?
No, more like a cosplay was just an extension of creativity for me. Like I've always been a very creative kid, like loved drawing, loved painting, loved to dress up. Like Halloween was my favorite holiday, for that very reason, was the fact that I got to dress up. Like, and normally you don't get excuses to dress up unless there's a dress up party or, you know, your school has dress up days or whatever. So then I think when I got to learn that I could make the costumes I love, of characters that I love, and then I get to go hang out with people that also enjoy the same things that I did, like it was absolutely mind-blowing to me, as a 12-year-old. And so I think my first costume I bought, cause I hadn't sewed a thing in my life at that point. And I was Haruhi Suzumiya from the, is it the... I keep forgetting if it's the interesting or the mysterious case of Haruhi Suzumiya, which is an anime.
You're gonna lose me there. I have not watched a single anime other than Death Note.
That is fine. Death Note was definitely also one of my first.
Dang. Who did you do from Death
Note? As well, yeah. I didn't cosplay from Death Note, but it was one of the first animes that I watched.
Nice. Yeah. It was fun, but didn't get me hooked on the anime train. And my friends have been trying to get me to watch One Piece, and I was like, I'll try it. And then I saw it was like a bajillion episodes, and I was like, I'll try it later.
That's a huge commitment. Like even my friends, like I've kind of fallen off watching as much anime as I used to. I think for me the last anime I really watched was Attack on Titan, and then I think after that I just kind of lost.
That's another
interest.
one they're trying to get me on. It's always the ones
it's
that are like
bad.
1,000 episotions.
Yeah, look, I would definitely start with something a little smaller,
and
then go from there, because that's I think as even when I first started getting into anime, which is around that time, like 12, 13, I think I started Naruto because I was like, look, everyone says that this is like a cornerstone
the greatest thing ever.
You know, the animes. Yeah, exactly. It was like Bleach, One Piece, Yu-Gi-Oh, Naruto, like those kind of cornerstones.
I forgot. I did watch Yu-Gi-Oh as a kid.
Oh, okay.
I forgot about
See,
it was a joke I made early in my life.
Like on Cheese TV, like those like kids show ones where they'd have like, you know, the Batman animated and then they'd show anime next to it.
Yeah, no,
like,
I watched. I forgot how. Here's the thing, though. Even to this very day, and I'm trying to recall like the core memory. You know, I'm trying to remember why did I watch that show. I still have no idea. And my leading theory is I remember my babysitter's kid. He had a deck, and I wonder if it's his fault.
Possibly, because I think that's a lot. That's how a lot of people kind of get into anime and stuff like that. Is usually like an older person is like, oh, you have an interest in animation. Let me bring you over to the world
upon you the gift of like, addiction.
Yeah, exactly.
But anyway,
exactly.
Enough about me. In any case, like with all these anime influences, you started your first cosplay. When did you start evolving that into work? Because like I'm gonna be honest, I don't think we've had a single like cosplay professional on the show since Momo O'Brien from like 2 years ago.
Yeah, I mean, it's funny because like I am a professional cosplayer. I have been paid to you know, cosplay, which, you know, is what the title is.
Cool,
but it's so funny because like to me I'm because to me I'm like, oh no, but there are like much more professional like people out there. So it feels weird to kind of take that title. But yeah, I guess you're right. Like I am a professional cosplayer, and God, how did I get that? I mean, honestly, it's like most careers. It's just who you know. Like it's the friends you make. It's the people you collaborate with. I made a friend. I think I dressed up as Peter Pan once. So this is when I was still quite young. I mostly cosplayed as mask characters until I was about 18. And then I started cosplaying more femme characters. And so it was kind of around that time where I was doing like Peter Pan. I met a woman who was cosplaying as Tinkerbell, and we just hit it off because, you know, we were cosplaying the same, like from the same thing. We had a bunch of photos taken, and then from there she ended up becoming quite a person that could suggest cosplayers for events or for PR things and all that sort of stuff. And so then she started throwing my name into the ring because she just knew me and, just wanted to give me an opportunity. And so it's really those like small connections that you make and the people and the friends you create along the way that can end up being really awesome contacts later on down the road. Like, you know, with Forgeling, like he was a person I'd met when I was 14. And then, you know, I was 19 when I first started One For All. So that's, you know, 5 years down the line, it ended up working out for me to be part of this show. So it's really amazing just being like, yeah, it's really just getting to know people. It's becoming part of the community and all that kind of stuff.
Crazy that you started One For All at 19.
Yes,
that's pretty
yeah,
impressive.
I was the youngest on the cast.
I was.
They didn't let me forget that.
I was getting drunk and high at 19. What was I doing? Dang, dude, that's awesome. But I mean, actually, you know what? I'm curious. Like, on a personal note, I look way younger than I am, and sometimes like that can result in, you know, people like not taking you as seriously. As somebody who was young on the show and like starting out, like, you know, again, like you've been in the ring, you were doing this since you were 7. What was the experience like trying to get people to like notice you, take you seriously, and, you know, get your work out there?
In this show or just in general?
Both. How about that?
Both. Look, I think one thing that is a little disarming is the fact that I tend to be able to kind of talk fairly easily with people older than me, and I think that's because I, you know, grew up mostly as an only child. It was only when I was 8 that I started getting siblings. So I've been I've grown up like around adults. And when I first started in the cosplay community, yeah, I was about like 12, 13, but a lot of my friends were like, you know, 17, 18, and then in their early 20s. So I've gotten pretty good at being able to like hang out with people older than me. And it's funny because like I'm technically a Gen Zer because I was born in 98. But, I mean, most of my friends for the entirety of my life have been people who, you know, are part of the millennial generation. So it's like that thing of like, you know, even though I am technically a Gen Zer, I definitely relate better to millennial, you know, memes and stories and culture, compared to, say, you know, Gen Z. But, you know, it's like that in-between kind of thing.
Same. It feels really weird sometimes, you know? Like you see those things that don't quite fit into anything, you know what I mean?
Yeah, a little bit. It's like that transitory like period, you know, like shifting of culture, because like, you know, you're seeing millennials like, you know, being like, oh, those Gen Zers and Gen Zers being like, oh, they're millennials. And so it's funny to kind of be caught in the middle and just being like, I don't know, guys, I think we're both okay. I think we're both
pretty cool to me, man. It's all the same to me.
But as for being taken seriously, I mean, it's kind of just showing up and doing the work. It's just putting your best foot forward. And it's not allowing other people to affect who you are, like who you are every day. You know, it's not letting, you know, someone put you down and then letting that affect you, or being like, you know, petty in response. It's kind of just being like, look, whatever their issue is, like that's their thing. You know, you just got to keep, you know, being yourself and not letting, you know, you change because of how other people treat you. Like, you need to be strong in that.
Yeah.
And that's actually, funnily enough, like some of the questions you actually get asked when agencies are looking to book you. They're like, okay, like how easily influenced are you? Like how like, because that's the thing with acting, is that you're going to go to, you know, 100 auditions and you might not book any of them. you need to be able to not let that affect you. Otherwise, it's just not the right career.
Yeah. You can't rise to every barb, dude, and you just gotta show up and do the thing. That's all you can do sometimes.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah.
Honestly, like, for me, I just want to be someone that's just nice. I think that's
a good goal to have.
That kind of, I mean, I feel like a lot of people don't really like care about nice anymore. It's like it's kind of seen as like a weak thing or whatever.
Lame.
But like honestly, like I think it gets understated. Like it's really important to just be kind a lot of the time, understanding that kind of stuff.
Yeah, absolutely. So, okay. I don't know if you like checked out the portfolio of what we do here, but here at Crispy's Tavern, we love a good horror story. It's a thing, you know? It's our... Yes, we love a good horror story. And, you know, I'm sure One for All is an awesome production, but obviously, you know, I'm sure there were, like, some difficult productions or whatever. But before we get to talk about One for All, like, more in depth, which we'll do soon, don't worry, guys. I do have to ask, in terms of the cosplay world or the D&D world, maybe people would prefer the D&D world instead. Do you have any horror stories from either like a D&D game or like a cosplay, something that was really difficult to work on or a difficult game to run or play in? Anything? If you don't want to, by the way, you don't have to.
Stories. No, that's okay. I'm trying to think though, because I'll be honest, like I've probably played. I've been very lucky in the fact that I've played mostly with good friends, and like sessions haven't been like. I haven't gotten to that point where it's like, oh, that's
rough.
Like, this is juicy drama to tell someone. It's kind of like either it's more just like, oh, that was an awkward thing to do, and we'd rather all just kind of forget and move on. Like, that kind of, like, usually it's more along that line. But as for, like, actual horror stories, It honestly, it's never really been my drama. A lot of the time, like, it's never really been my drama, and that's why it's like I don't really know if it's something I can talk about in that sense.
That's totally
like,
cool. That's totally cool.
Like, it's more of things of like I heard from a person that something it was happening, and I'm not a huge like trying to find or like be part of drama. Like, my usual, like, MO is, like, oh, you're a dramatic person? All right, I will probably not spend as much time around you.
Back it up.
Yeah, I mean, life's too short to get, like, caught up in a bunch of, like, petty stuff. I don't know.
I'm gonna tell you,
I don't like it.
For me, I mean, I'm not going out of my way to avoid anything, but, man, sometimes stuff just finds you. Like,
Look.
I was running my first Curse of God. Oh, no, you go. Sorry.
Oh, no. I mean, look, like, if we're talking, like, interpersonal stuff, like, 100%. Like, I've, even in acting, like, I've dealt with, like, on set, like, a bunch, like, not to do with One for All, but just in general, like, acting. There's, like, a bunch of stuff that's happened. And, like, some, like, companies, like, theater companies that I've worked with where, like, it gets very, I like that you use the word incestuous, because a lot of people tend to, like, date within the group, and then what ends up happening is
that's what you meant.
An ex.
I was like, what do you mean by that?
Yeah, I meant more as in, like, a community tends to date only within its community,
Okay.
And so it ends up being that everyone's kind of another person's ex, who's then dating another person's ex, who's then with another, you know what I mean?
Yeah,
so it gets very drama very quickly, because of that sort of stuff. And that's also true in cosplay communities as well. In not so much in Sydney nowadays, but in other, like, smaller capital cities in Australia, there tends to be, like, that sort of thing as well. Like, you can talk to any cosplayer from, like, you know, those areas, and they totally get it. Like, everyone's dated each other in those areas, and so that's where the drama tends to come from. And so it's like, if you don't date within the cosplay community, you're pretty good actually. Date a photographer, because then you just get good photos.
You get the free photos and no drama. You know what? I think that this is a winning recipe.
Absolutely, yeah. So if you're a cosplayer, just find someone who's a photographer and trap them into a date with you.
Or turn a person you're already dating into a photographer, and then you get the free photos and the person anyway. Boom.
Yeah, absolutely. I
think that's what Ginny did.
Because if you got two cosplayers, then there's going to be no one to hold your bags for you. So that's it.
Exactly. See, look at all of these. See, we're coming up with great ideas here. Great minds think alike. That's what I think.
Honestly.
Yeah. Hell yeah. So,
but yeah, no real horror stories. At least then, you know what? I'm gonna also posit this, that there are no horror stories that I remember. I do have a terrible memory. I have ADHD, and that's one of my lovely traits, is that I forget things fairly easily, which is good because it means that I don't carry it with me. But then it's also bad because then I don't necessarily get to learn from it.
Well, hey, you know, sometimes I do want to forget about things, you know? Like, I kicked this one wizard out of my Curse of Strahd game, and then he harassed me online for 2 years. So you know what? Like, sometimes you just want to move on.
Yeah, that's fair. That's fair. Yeah, I'm trying to think if there was, like, any real...
So if you don't have any, though, I think that is
stuff.
Respectable and a testament to being drama-adverse and surrounding yourself with good people. That's what I think.
Oh, look, yeah, again, like, it's not even necessarily, again, it's probably not even necessarily, like, my drama. Like, there's definitely drama happened, but it's all been, like, interpersonal stuff that's, like, not shareable.
Yeah, no,
you know what
totally
I mean?
get it. And if you don't want to share that kind of thing, I totally understand. But hey, it always bears asking, because who knows? Someone might have some juice. You never know.
Honestly, yeah. I mean, I also listen to, like, like, you know, when someone records them reading out, like, Reddit horror stories, like, from D&D
That's
groups.
me.
And all. Like, I listen to those. Like, I enjoy those. But yeah. But like, I love those, but like, I don't know, I haven't had one of my own experiences, and now I'm like, do I want my own? I'm like, no, not really. I don't really want it. Yeah. It just would be cool to have a story, you know?
Yeah.
Maybe I should make one up next time.
No, don't. I'll be honest, like, of all the horror stories I've had like one really bad one, and then, like, that's it. And, you know, that one was caused
What's the worst one that you've heard?
The worst?
But not because, like, it was just, like, bad, but just, like, you were like, oh, if I was in that situation,
oh my God,
like,
the
I could
worst
not
one
handle.
I've heard?
Yeah.
Dude, I can't even decide, because we've done 270 episodes, 4 stories an episode, so that's, like, I've done, like, over 1,000 now.
Okay, but, like, what's the first one that comes to mind? Because there's got to be one.
There's
got to be one that comes to mind. When someone goes, what's the worst thing you heard? You're like, that one.
Okay, I'm split between two, because the ones that I think are the worst are ones that spill into the real world. Because, like, at the end of the day, if somebody's acting, like, super creepy in the game, like, obviously that's bad, but at the end of the day, log off of Discord and it's done. But, like, when it spills into the real world, that's when I'm like, ooh, dude, I can see that getting really rough. And I think the worst one was, I don't even remember what caused the situation, but this girl was playing in a game with like a friend who lived in the same, like, dorm building, the same dormitory building, and this person was very, like, I don't want to say sensitive because that's not really the right word, but they were very volatile. Like, they could get set off by the slightest thing. And the girl did something in the game that wasn't really that bad. I don't even remember what it was. It was probably something like pickpocketing their character, something really stupid. But it's like, you know how, I don't know if you've met that kind of person, but when they, you know, they start, like, getting a little passive aggressive, and then in 5 seconds they're aggressive, and then in 10 seconds they're standing up, and then 15 seconds they're yelling, and then 20 seconds you want to get out of the room. That kind of quick escalation. That was the worst one I've ever read, because that was like, it was so painfully real too, because the way they were writing, like, you can tell they're not making it up. You know what I mean?
Yeah, honestly, like, I've had, that sounds so rough. And then to be in the same living situation as well, like, oh.
That was the part that made it the worst, because they tried to, like, make it up to this person by meeting with them in the building, and they just freaked out more. And I'm just like, dude, I've been there. Like, where you try to force the solution, you try to force the closure early, and then it just blows up even worse than you could imagine. Oh, I've been there, dude. I think that's why it was the worst.
There are definitely times with people like that where you kind of just need to go, look, like, I'm not going to be able to fix this because this isn't a situation that I actually caused.
Yeah.
Like, being able to be like, okay, like, that's something that they have to deal with, because, like, me being part of that equation isn't going to help.
Yeah.
and it's just
And sometimes,
you gotta be able to cut your ties at some point.
I think I don't remember if I said this during the commentary because I did this video like a year ago, but I think what I should have said if I didn't say this is like, look, sometimes people's problems ain't yours to solve. All right, sometimes you just gotta walk away and protect yourself. You don't need to be the hero of everyone's story. Sometimes you just need to protect you. And I know some people say like, oh, that's selfish. No, it's not. All right, it's just taking care of yourself.
No. And also, like, at the end, like, you could also be, like, you might not be actively helping them realize that their behavior is toxic, but you might be passively helping them realize that their behavior is toxic by walking away.
Yeah, exactly.
And because if you keep rewarding that behavior, and if you keep going back to them and being like, I'm going to try harder to be a better person, the bigger person, blah, 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 you're enabling it. You're enabling that behavior at that point.
Yeah, that's totally totally valid. But there you go. There's the worst one I could remember from my memory. Hey, fun game in the comments. Y'all who are fans of this show, put your favorites down in the description. I'm kind of curious which ones you guys think are the worst. But
yeah, I'd love to. I mean, I don't have any of my own, so if you could put any horror stories up for adoption so I can take them as my own, that would be great.
Perfect, awesome. You know, we need some. But hey, actually, all right, this is very last minute, but you know how I told you there's 2 segments of the show that we do at the end? There's the game show where we make NPCs. The other one is people leave me voice messages telling me about their horror stories.
Ah, that's cool.
I have 3.
That's cool. You wanna?
I kind of want to, but I haven't listened to any of them in advance. So but when we end the segment, can you give me 2 minutes just to make sure no one says anything really stupid?
That's super fair. But if they do say something stupid, like, you know, great laughing material at least.
Look, I mean, I don't want to, like, make fun of someone live on the air, you know? Give them a little bit of a break. But yeah, if you're interested in that, I got 3 of them. I got 4 of them, actually.
Sick.
All right.
Sick.
Sweet.
All right, cool.
That's where we're at. But hey, we are going to end this segment. Next segment, we're going to be talking about One for All, the production of the show. Not necessarily horror stories, but just like any fun stories you can tell about the production. But yeah, we're going to be right back. But before we do that, I didn't tell you about this, but I'm going to like record this later. This week, I've got a special surprise. Crispy's Homebrew Corner is coming back, and I've got some new stuff for you. So we'll be back right after this break. Hey everyone, welcome back to Crispy's Homebrew Corner. We got a short one today because I actually have something for you to download. The Sindara player race and enemy species is available for download on this very channel for 100% free. The Sindara are my version of the Wood Elves. The playable race has lots of stealth-based options as well as evolutionary options, as these Wood Elves are deeply connected with the beasts of nature, allowing them to adapt to their environment using a variety of abilities. This is really cool and makes them a very varied play style and gives you some cool things to play with in your D&D game. On top of that, if you want to fight the Sindara, I have 4 stat blocks for you based on the Flea Mortals monster faction system. 1 minion and 3 normal monsters, all of which benefit from the Sindara's abilities of adaptation. All of them can use their bonus action to adapt their bodies to their environment, and each individual Sindara gets unique adaptations, which makes them very, very deadly to fight with your players. Seriously, download these things, show your players nature's wrath. It's lots of fun. Linked down in the description and the pinned comment. It's like around the same time, we got it. But hey, we've talked about cosplay, we've talked about horror stories. What are y'all really here for? Probably the horror stories, but we'll get to more of those in a second. One for All. One for All is an amazing show, but like obviously it is a big production. So for you, what is the most fun part of this massive thing, and what is the most difficult part of this massive thing? And you can say a couple things, by the way. I'm not limiting you to one.
Yeah, cool. I mean, look, yeah, like there are a lot of things about this show that is a lot of fun. As someone who like very easily was falling into a bit of a typecast, like when I was going for auditions, like a lot of the roles that were available were very much just like main guy's girlfriend, main love interest's friend,
murder victim,
murder victim. Yeah, like it was a bit of there's only so many options for like how can you portray the same sort of, you know, supportive, you know, supportive support woman, like, in the show, like, sort of thing. And so with Nixie, the fact that I kind of get to play a little unhinged is so much fun. It's so freeing, and I mean, there's not a lot of roles like it. The fact that, like, people can very easily go, oh, she reminds me of X, or she reminds me of Y, is like the only two names I really hear regularly are Harley Quinn and Jinx from like Legal Agents. So it's like it's kind of like people can kind of recognize that, you know, it's a type of character, but there's only very few like femme characters
that fit that role
that are like, exactly. Whereas, you know, you could probably think of thousands upon thousands of movies where, you know, there's been the supportive girlfriend, like, you know what I mean?
Yeah.
So it's just like, it's so much fun to be able to play this role. I've been able to put a lot of myself, you know, into playing, and like a lot of my creativity into playing her. Like, Dear Stalker is pretty like chill about like letting us riff and come up with things, and then, you know, if they're good and people like, if we all like it, then we keep it. So like that's been really cool. So there's a bit of a collaborative element of that as well. So yeah, so most fun part is honestly just getting the opportunity to play a role that is so out there, that isn't usual. And so like, yeah, like, there's a part of me that's already kind of like, oh, like it feels like it's gonna be downhill from now. I don't know if there's gonna be as a character that's as interesting and as fun as Nixie to play. But I think, yeah, I definitely. I definitely feel like that's probably...
I have to ask.
Yeah.
Before we get to more Nixie, I have to ask one question.
Yes.
So you play a lot of supportive girlfriends and murder victims. Have you ever done missing lover footage? You know that footage that the male protagonist stares at in the dark after like his girlfriend is murdered or kidnapped, and he's gotta go find her or avenge her death. Have you ever done that? If you say no, I'll go.
No, I mean, I haven't. I mean, it's such a meme, though, isn't it? Like, you know, she's under a white sheet.
Yeah, under a white sheet.
And she's just looking lovingly, like, you know, it's like meant to be, like, you know, the first thing in the morning, but she's like
perfect, amazing.
Got her makeup already done.
Her hair is all
and
done.
The lighting. Yeah. And it's just like, okay, so for that to be a reality, let me just get up at 5 a.m., go and, like, get absolutely done up, and then I'll come back and then, like, climb in under the sheets and then be like, oh, yes, lover, I have looked like this the entire time.
All night, baby.
All night. I just slept in this. It's fine.
I just read an adorable Owl House comic with that exact premise, by the way.
Oh, really?
Yeah, with that exact
premise. But no, I haven't done that for a role. I've definitely done it for a shoot. But like a modeling shoot, but I haven't done it for a role.
Sick, awesome. But yeah, there you go. No missing lover footage out there, sorry guys. But
I mean, look, it made me absolutely laugh when I saw it in the D&D movie. Yeah. I was just like, oh my god.
Oh my god, it was in the D&D movie. I forgot.
It was. Yeah, the whole thing. I mean, she wasn't in a sheet. Like,
yeah, but everyone, but in that
as
movie,
a domestic goddess,
everyone was hot all the time. So like, it kind of made sense. Fantasy world, you know?
I mean, like, to be fair, like, when you look at, like, a D&D group, like, how many people purposely make their, like, characters, you know, like, unattractive?
Yeah, no,
like, usually everyone's just like, yeah, I wanna be hot.
Yeah, exactly. Like, me and my friends were joking about this in our game, but, like, I was showing them pictures of NPCs, and my friends were like, damn, they're hot. And I'm like, guys, stop doing that. And they're like, Crispy, I don't know what to tell you, but everyone in your world is canonically hot. You did this. It's your fault. And I was like, blame the artist that I find online, okay? That's not my fault.
Yeah, look. Yeah, like, artists, like, you know, creating beautiful things.
Yeah, and you know, that's great. Yeah. I don't think that's a bad thing.
No, I don't think it's a bad thing.
Hell yeah.
I think it's only when it starts to become a morality thing.
Yeah.
I think that's when it's an issue of, like, if you're attaching a certain look to goodness and a certain look to evil.
We need hot
and
bad
it's
guys.
Like, absolutely.
Trying to come up with an example.
And that's the thing.
Something that Tumblr was obsessed with, I'm sure.
Like, I mean, yeah, exactly. And I think also, the fact that, it doesn't need to necessarily be physical beauty as well. It could also be like, internal, like, beauty. Like, that tends to radiate out anyway.
Yeah.
So it's like, it's all of those sorts of things.
How'd we get here?
I definitely would love, I don't know. Like this is normal for me.
Yeah.
Conversations
No, same here,
to be
dude.
linear.
I went from talking about D&D to a 20-minute diatribe about Minecraft with another YouTuber. Okay, this is we're a dream duo right here.
Yeah, there'll be no linearity in
No,
this.
absolutely not. Just like our time zone problems, there will be nothing that makes sense.
Absolutely not. So yes, what were we talking about? We were talking about
what is the hardest? You said the most fun
hardest.
part. Yeah, the most fun part
was
of
playing Nixie.
One for All. Now the hard part. What's the hardest part of One?
Now the hard part. Getting into costume. And getting out of costume. Actually, getting out is probably more difficult than getting in.
Really?
We'll be honest. Yeah, I get spray paint, like not spray painted. I get airbrushed. Spray painted is different, but airbrushed. I get airbrushed.
That might be bad for you.
Yeah, just it's fine. It's like a tanning booth. They got me in there like a rotisserie chicken, just spraying me down. Anyway,
I was in Africa spray painting. I don't remember where I was spray painting, but I actually got the reason I say that is because I actually did. Don't do that.
Oh God, you poor thing. I mean, you're alive, so you survived.
I was fine. Much worse things can happen. So all things considered, I think I was good. But
yeah, that seems fair enough.
Back to you.
Yeah.
Sorry.
So so it's hard to get into it because, we're not always filming in a inside location. So sometimes we're, on location when we're, getting dressed. And so that can mean that I'll be like in the middle of a forest, getting painted, and everything. And so I'm having to like just basically just like be there just like this. And it could be, and usually it's early in the morning.
Ugh.
So it could be like, yeah, so like the thing is I can't even like fully cover myself because like we need to paint it. So I'm just there just being like,
is it cold?
And then the airbrush itself, yes, it's of course it's cold.
Why would it not?
So anyway. Yeah, and then, there's the massive scleras, which is a whole process to get in. I've gotten pretty good at it.
Sorry, for the layman like me, what is that?
The scleras?
Yes, what?
Do you want to see?
Oh, do I want to see? Oh my goodness.
Yeah,
Heck
do you want to see what a sclera looks like?
Heck yeah,
I think this one, I'm going to show you the one that's possibly expired, because we'll be getting a replacement for it. But essentially, this is how I store them. Honestly, it feels like I'm in Alien and I'm keeping like an egg.
An egg material.
Like in its own little, the egg material, that's another thing. So essentially, this is the size of the contacts that I wear when I play Nixie. And that's how big it is there.
Oh, that's what it is. Okay, dang.
Yes. So that's a sclera, and
stick that in your eye.
Yeah, it's huge. Yeah, and I just
pop right in your eye.
Yes, no biggie. It's no big deal.
I can't even take contacts, guys. I don't do eye stuff.
Yeah. Look, one of the first things we do ask actors when they, are applying for roles is, are you okay with wearing contacts? Because a lot of fantasy people have weird eye colors.
And you better say yes to that question.
We've definitely had actors who have said yes, and then at the time they're just like, so I have actually never worn contacts before. What do I do? And I'm just there, okay, so what you want to do is be patient. Yeah, like 100%. You got to be patient first because when it comes to your eyes, the more stressed you get, the harder it gets to get them in.
Yeah.
So you really got to play it cool.
Yeah.
You really got to play it cool.
I'm doing Amity Blight this year, and I know she has yellow eyes, but I gotta, I don't know, maybe I've got 2 months until October, so like maybe in those 2 months I'll big boy up and figure out how to do contacts. But big respect for putting.
Because I also, it's not even a thing of like popping it on. I have to actually like flip an eyelid, put it in underneath,
God.
and then flip the other eyelid and then slide it under. Like it's a whole thing. Yeah, so usually when those actors come on, then they're just like, oh, I've never done eye contacts before, it's really scary. And then they'll look over at me and I'm just there like, and they're just like, oh god, at least I'm not doing that.
Exactly, you've encouraged me now. Now I want to do this yellow eye thing for Amity. Heck yeah, dude.
You can do it, buddy. Just, be safe. And also maybe talk to an optometrist if you're, like, worried.
Oh, trust me.
But you'll be fine.
Right now, I can't see anything. I've been completely blind this whole show, so...
I've got my glasses somewhere else. I'm also... short-sighted?
Yes.
Yeah, me too.
High five through the camera.
The generation that grew up, like, reading books and then being on screens for too long.
Honestly, it's a sad thing, man. I do two things at once all the time, so all I do is listen and read now, because in order to read, you need full undivided attention, and I always divide. Respect, though.
Mm-hmm.
Back to what we were talking about. What else in the costume's a pain in the butt?
So I said removing it is hard. Because it's not, like, normal makeup. Like, face wipes can get it off if I, like, scrub really hard, but then I'm, like, hurting my own skin. So usually it needs to be like an oil remove, but usually what'll happen is that like 2 weeks after we've filmed, I'll still find pink in my ears or behind, like in different places, like they'll just be pink still, and it's like I can't get rid of it. There are days where like if we shoot consecutive days, weeks at a time, there'll be times where like literally I'll just wrap up like my arms or like something and just be like I'll just leave it and I'll sleep like that, and then I'll just get back at 6 a.m. the next day at set, and then just be like, at least that's done. We don't have to worry about it. Just patch up where it needs a little patching up, and we're good.
Are you grateful and happy that past FallCosplay did not make Nixie green or something?
Yeah. I mean, we definitely do still get comments of people being like, "Oh, she's not pink anymore," and it's like, no, I'm very pink. It's just that lighting can change different tones and stuff like that. But yeah, I'm so glad that I didn't pick green and stuff like that, because the slightest little nick on my face or anything, it would just be
instantly
so
visible.
Obvious that.
Absolutely.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
I mean, the reason we went with pink was because I was like, look, it's going to be a lot easier. And also we were trying to stay away, because at that time, when we first started, season 2 of Critical Role was like really popular.
I didn't even think of that.
Yeah, so Jester, was a very well-known tiefling, and so, okay, how do we make sure that we're not getting, mixed up with that, or people think that we're just trying to copy it, or, being, that kind of stuff? Because I feel like on the internet nowadays, if anything is slightly similar to something else that's popular,
dude.
it's it's just a copy instead of,
You guys are ripping off blank thing. Unbelievable.
Yeah.
Shut up.
Exactly. So it was like, okay, how do we mitigate that? So I decided to go with a pink.
Also, it matches the general aesthetic that you've got going on here. Can't help but notice.
Well, I would say actually this probably came more about because of Nixie than the other way around.
I was about to ask which one came first.
Yeah. Before Nixie, my favorite color is green. It always is green. Yeah, I know. It doesn't make any sense, but I also...
No, I wasn't saying it doesn't make any sense. I'm just saying
really
that
fun.
I guessed it, which is further proof of a principle that I think all of you should learn. Crispy's always right.
You guessed my favorite color was green.
Yeah. Because I said, aren't you grateful you didn't make it green?
Yeah, you did.
I did. I called it.
Yeah. That's actually incredible. But yeah, so no, I mean, I bought this specifically so that I could take it to set, because it also has... Because like I said, we don't necessarily we're not necessarily always in an actual studio when we're doing our getting ready. So it has an actual mirror and lights up and everything like that.
Oh, that's nice.
So yeah, so
it's
yeah, so it's okay, so then I got that, and then with my streaming setup, my chair and my headphones and my little cat foot mouse pad, it was just because I kind of became known for playing Nixie, and I was like, all right, well, I'll just play into that. I mean, I wouldn't mind having a green headset and, a green chair, but, I think also pink's just a really nice color. It's flattering.
Yeah, I'm curious. Like, I'm lucky I didn't have to deal with that. I got to choose my brand color, and it's purple, which is my favorite color. But, like, for you, what was it like having to shift, like, not necessarily, I mean, it's not, maybe not the worst thing in the world, but it can be, like, a thing shifting, like, what you do to fit that role, like Michael K. Williams with Omar, or Chris Evans with Star-Lord. They kind of become known for that role. And obviously, like, not to that level, but, this is what you're known for now. What was that feeling when you realized, like, this is what people know me for now?
Honestly, it's really lovely that people have enjoyed the show so much, and I've been so lucky that the majority of the people who have, chosen to interact with me in any capacity have just been lovely. I mean, I'd much rather be known for, this way for Nixie rather than, because I mean, people know me because of Nixie because they like Nixie. I think it would be a lot harsher if I was known because everyone hated Nixie. So it's kind of like one of those things where it's like, look, you kind of have to, like, take the wins for what they are. Exactly. And, this like, yes, maybe it would be better if I could, easily melt away into, like, other roles, or, it wasn't as obvious that I was the Nixie actor or whatever. Like, at the same time, it's also allowed me to, do things like this.
Yeah.
It's allowed me to talk to people who share the same passions and love for D&D and for acting and role play and improvisation and creativity. It's kind of just like this, like, she kind of became my train ticket to kind of stay on this ride and keep meeting new people, because people want to talk about Nixie, and I like talking about her too because she's cool.
Yeah, you know what? I
but
totally
also being,
yeah.
oh, sorry.
No, keep going. I did not mean to interrupt.
But no, I mean, like, but also being able to separate the fact that, I am a human individual, just like everyone else in the world. and I can also separate the professional side of it from my personal side of it. And, being able to go say, like, Fall isn't my real name. It's a moniker. And it's also kind of part of my brand. And being able to have a separate brand from, just trying to bank on my personal life is healthy for me.
Heck yeah.
Being able to be like, yeah, I get to have this second life in a way where, it gets to be about the creativity and the fun and the bonding over this stuff. And then I also get to have, a good private life where, I get to enjoy the people that I've chosen to surround myself with, and I don't have to deal with the drama, of other communities. So yeah, so it's one of those things where it's like, yeah, I honestly, I feel really lucky to have this. And I think also in a way she's also allowed me to have a public persona and a private persona as well.
Yeah. I mean, that reminds me, like, again, like that example I said earlier, Michael K. Williams, rest in peace. When he went on The Wire, he became very famous for his character Omar, for good reason. That character is amazing. Mm. And he went on a show, and the interviewer asked him, like, when you were coming, I'll probably put the clip in, but...
I mean, the first thing they said was Omar coming. Like, it was Omar coming, and it was Omar. And I wondered how some guys are really comfortable with that, and some guys are not.
Nah, man, I've been called a lot worse than Omar. Yeah. I ain't got no problem. You calling me Omar.
He just completely, he just decided to embrace it and, like, just accept, like, if I'm going to be known for the first big role, Omar's not a bad one. And you clearly enjoy Nixie a lot, and, I think that's awesome.
Yeah. I mean, look, like, there have definitely been actors who have, left acting because of the way that they've been treated.
And
because
typecast,
of the roles that they've taken. Yeah, exactly. I don't fear that as much because Dear Stalker has already given me a lot of opportunities to play absolutely different roles.
Have you played Jinx yet?
I haven't played Jinx, but I did tell them, I'm like,
it's only a matter of time.
Yeah, right? I'm like,
Totally
if you
matters.
guys do this, like, you gotta cast
Yeah,
me
exactly.
as Jinx. Like, you gotta do it.
Call me up, guys.
Yeah. But yeah, I mean, look, like it's true. Like there is sometimes a thing of people not being able to separate out, like real life people from characters.
Yeah.
And people have punished actors for things that their characters have
Yeah,
done.
and don't do that.
So I think. No, of course, like don't do that. I think what has been really lucky for me isn't the fact that my character is loved and therefore I'm okay, but more about the fact that I do tend to find that people in this community at least are able to kind of separate the fact that I'm still a human behind it, like and I'm not Nixie. And so like most of the times that I do like, get to talk to people about it and stuff, like there isn't this innate thing of like, oh, you're Nixie and I'm treating you like it.
Yeah.
Treating you like her. I haven't had that experience yet, so maybe my mind will change if it starts being that I am treated as Nixie, but thankfully that hasn't happened.
Yeah.
I think most people are able to kind of separate that out.
Yeah, and that is awesome. But hey, we've been on this. Oh man, this segment's been 22 minutes already. What? But anyway, hey.
You have to cut out like a whole bunch of it. Just cut it out.
No.
All of it. Just cut
This
it.
was. I think this was great. I'm having so much fun. But yeah, we got to talk
Yeah, me
about
too.
the struggles and the fun of One for All, the character of Nixie. That was a lot of fun. But hey, you know who really needs to be talked about? You guys, because you guys call me sometimes and tell me about all your woes, and I'm really curious what you have in store for me today, or us today. So without further ado, let's get started. Okay, sweet, awesome. Anyway, where are we? Hey guys, horror story time. Let's see what you got.
Hello, Crispy. I'm a big fan of your channel, and I am making a world that is basically about like mystery and stuff, and I would like advice with what I can do with the world and how I can get the players engaged in this world, and especially since I'm a new TM. Alright, I tried to run Lost Minds of Fandover, but that did not go well. But that's another story. Anyways, here is the voicemail.
All right, so advice on the mystery world. You got that?
Yes, advice on a mystery world.
Okay, so what's your advice on the mystery world? You first. You're the guest.
So I'm just gonna, I'm just gonna go over again what it was that they asked. So they said that they're trying to run a mystery world. Is that correct?
A world filled with a world with. They're trying to engage their players in a world filled with unclear information. Like a world filled, like basically, you played Breath of the Wild?
Yes.
Link, when he first steps off that plateau, I think that's the vibe they're kind of going for, where you go into this mysterious world, you don't know what's going on, you don't know who you're going to meet, and all you know, I don't know if needs them to kill a beast in the distance, but the point is, a world that will engage the players through the lack of information, as a brand new dungeon master.
Okay. Okay. All right. I've got something. Your players will love their own characters. It's so easy for them to already be invested in their characters, and so I think the quickest way to get any group of people invested in your story is to make it really pertinent to their characters. So if it's like something that's mysterious, but even something as weird and eerie as there are footsteps, and if you put your foot next to them, they're exactly the same size as your own.
There you go.
That's the kind of mystery that's going to make people care more, because it relates to them. They start to see that it's how to put this in a way that makes it sound
this is
kind.
great advice.
People want to. Characters want to feel special, and players want to feel special, and so if you make it feel like the mystery is something that only they could really solve, then they're going to be obsessed with it.
Yeah.
I think.
We
at
often
least.
make fun of people in real life for acting like main characters, but this isn't real life. It's Dungeons and fucking Dragons. And so you can absolutely be the main characters. That's our one F-bomb in the show. We have wasted it.
Everyone is a main character.
Yeah, exactly. They are the main characters. So revolve the mystery around them. I will say, as a brand new DM, and this isn't me trying to discourage anyone, I often struggled with creating compelling and engaging mysteries for my players just because, like, I was new. You know, you're new, you're not experienced in that way, and mysteries are hard to pull off. There are Hollywood writers with decades of experience who do bad mysteries because, you know, that kind of thing happens. This isn't me trying to discourage. This is me saying...
and even then, they've got teams of people working together to make the mystery work.
you were the murder victim.
Yeah. Actually, mine was based off a real story that actually happened in Australia. Yeah, so unfortunately, that one was not scripted. Unfortunately, that was not scripted. But yes, so but yeah, I think honestly, like one of the things I think that tends to be a barrier for new DMs is that a lot of DMs feel like they need to come into the game being like, I've written the best world. I've written, an incredible world, lots of lore, lots of backstory. I've woven all of these things together. Like, there's a lot of pressure to feel like you need to be as good as, like, say, like Matt Mercer, Brennan Lee Mulligan, even a Brie Iyengar, like those notable DMs. You don't need to. A D&D is essentially a collaborative story improvisational game. There's so much of DMing that is basically just being like, I have had nothing prepared for what my players were going to do because they went absolutely left field, and now I'm going to have to improvise it. Yeah. So I would genuinely say the best skill to have as a DM is being able to improvise and be flexible.
My other piece of advice is, if you are not a improv master, like I was a state competitor for impromptu speaking. I was good. But here's the thing, I can't improv an entire adventure. I was good. I'm really good and I still am. But, that's just not within my purview. I can't make up mechanics off the top of my head. I can't pull stat blocks on my bum. So I'm clear with my players, like, hey, if you sign up for Curse of Strahd, you're going into Barovia. You can't just say no, because that's where the adventure is. Make your boundaries, and where your boundaries are clear to your players. Don't railroad them. Let them have choices, but show them how many choices you can have. If you're running a sandbox game, tell them. If you're running a more linear game, tell them. And as a new dungeon master...
And that's why Session 0 is so important.
So important,
to set those parameters, set those boundaries. Also to make sure that, like, everyone's on the same page as well, because you don't want, 4 players who are, ready for, a gritty, dark D&D, and then there's, that one person who's just like, I'm a fairy princess! Yes. And so it's, it kind of... you want to make sure that everyone's on the right tone, the right genre, and, all on the same page.
Yeah, I felt bad for a second, because literally today, I'm joining up... I don't know what could happen in a month, but I'm joining up with a group of relative strangers. For the first time in my life, I've always played with good friends. And I pestered this DM with 1,000 questions. And for a second, I was like, am I going too far? No, I'm not. I need to know the answers to these questions so that I know how I'm going to build my character. And when I clarify with the DM, I was like, is this okay? They were chill with it. Because of course they were. Who doesn't like talking about their D&D game?
Exactly. Exactly. And so, as tips for DMs, also feel free to, kind of let your players dictate how things are solved.
Yeah.
So, if you don't necessarily have an idea for how they're going to get through this puzzle, just create some parameters and let them be creative. And then when they've come up with something that you're like, oh, that's actually pretty damn cool, then, give it to them.
That's a great... It's a great piece of
make
advice.
It incentive.
But I will say,
give them incentive
never
to be
tell your players that you did that. Never.
Oh, no.
Never tell them that.
Don't let them in.
Don't let them know.
Don't let them peek behind the curtain. Let them believe that you are in control the entire way.
Exactly. All right. I just want to clarify that real quick, because sometimes I make that mistake of peeling back the curtain a little too much, and it ruins the immersion hardcore. So, just make sure. But that's a great piece of advice. Sometimes the solution that you came up with is dumber than the solution they come up with. And you know what? There's nothing wrong with embracing their solution, because sometimes their solution is just freaking cool, man.
Yeah, exactly. And I think that's the thing. Your players will always remember the cool moment they had. They won't necessarily remember the cool moment that you created.
Yeah, exactly. It may be a moment they were part of, but you alone can't create those memories. They need to be a part of it.
Exactly. Because, I mean, it's not like reading a book. Like, you are the narrator, but you're not the author. Mm-hmm. Everyone's an author.
You're collaborating together with your players. Yes. All right.
Exactly.
I hope that helped you out. Good luck running your first game. Yeah. I mean, this was sent in last month, so, you know, it probably already started. But if it's still going, I hope you best of luck. And I'm sorry for taking so long to get to this. I was trying to get a guest last month, all right? I don't know what to tell you. Anyway, next voicemail. You ready?
Hey there, Crispy. I just want to give you a little horror story about a DM that I had once that fortunately turned out into a good situation. We met on Reddit, him and a few other people that he had recruited across various tabletop RPG subreddits. He wanted to get us together to participate in his game. I believe it was a Greyhawk kind of 3.5 inspired setting that he had very clearly written a whole lot for and put a ton of effort into. And just presented us with the setting, wanted us to make characters, give us some good motivations, and go for it. What we later found was that it was very much his setting. There wasn't a whole lot of leeway for us to do anything, really. It's a lot of things like we were too level. He told us we were too low level for a side quest we wanted to pursue. And we'd have to memorize all these people's schedules. We could never talk to anybody. If we tried to pursue something, it would very, very often be turned away from us. Finally, it ended up reaching a breaking point where we tried to interact with one of his puzzles that was entirely too convoluted, didn't make a whole lot of sense, and there was nothing we could do outside of just trial and error that kind of led us to a breakdown. And thankfully, the rest of that group stuck together, and since we're all DMs, we've learned from those mistakes that he made and kind of came together to create a much, much better and stronger space. Love that crowd, and thank you for listening.
First and foremost, right at the 1 minute 30 limit, dude. Heck yeah. So anyway, damn, that sucks.
Yeah, oh my gosh. I mean, it pretty much goes right back into what we were saying before about the fact of, like, when you get too caught up in your own, like, telling your own story as the DM, you can be forfeiting the fun of the players.
Exactly.
Because, I mean, like, from what it sounded like, it sounds like this DM has put so much thought and love and care into their world and wants to make it realistic. And a lot of people love the idea of realism, but the actual reality of realism is that, you know, it wouldn't be easy for you to always track down the NPC
you know what's
that
hilarious?
You want to talk to.
Yeah, their whole thing about scheduling, I don't know whose ideal fantasy is dealing with the timeline and scheduling problems that we just dealt with for the past 2 days.
I know, and that's exactly it. Is the fact of, like, realism is fun as an idea, but it's not fun in reality. It's I mean, that's why we're playing fantasy to escape reality.
Time zones.
Yeah, exactly. So I think it's definitely like a lost in the sauce kind of thing where, you know, you're kind of getting too caught up in trying to make it a, you know, realistic, setting and all that kind of stuff. But yeah, like as we saw, the players just started to feel like they were just absolutely powerless. And you don't want your players to feel powerless unless it's to help the story move forward.
Yeah.
Like as a way to kind of like, you know, create motivation, to create like, you know, a jumping off point for, you know, strength down like a little bit later. But yeah, like to make your players themselves feel powerless within your world. Like, it's probably not gonna.
One of the examples I give for realism all the time, like, because I think, look, if you want to do a realistic setting, that's awesome, and I think that can work. But you have to remember, the goal shouldn't be realism. Realism should be a method that you use to achieve the actual goal. The actual goal being a fun freaking game. Like Red Dead Redemption 2 is a very realistic game to a degree. But Rockstar, when they set out to make RDR2, they didn't set out to make a realistic game. They set out to make a good game that happened to be realistic, leading to the fact that it being good. The goal is to be fun, not to be realistic. Realism should be a method, not an end game. But
exactly. And I mean, like, a saying is usually, don't let perfect be the enemy of good.
Exactly.
And it's like in this setting, it's like, don't let, like, realism be the enemy of fun. Don't sacrifice the fun of your players and, the game. Because it is a game at the end of the day. Like, it doesn't matter how seriously we all take it. It is a game. And it's meant to be fun. It's meant to be enjoyable. And, if you're making your players, like, trial and error a door, and it's just like, at that point, it's just like, oh, it's just a slog. It's not even like a fun game. Like, how many games have you like quit because it just got way too hard or way too monotonous?
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah.
Another thing that we've never talked about before because it's never come up, but that's an interesting. The first thing the guy said was, "Oh, he claimed we were too low level to do a quest that we wanted to pursue," and to a degree, I understand like where the DM's point comes from. Like sometimes you like showing your players like that thing in the distance. Like, your players are level 2 trekking through the world and they see a massive rock, a gargantuan bird they can't possibly hope to take down, flying in the distance. They have to like hide beneath the trees and all that. That's fun. That's interesting. But like sometimes if your players are really invested in the goal, it's a balance, but sometimes I just want to let them pursue it. Because if people are excited, that's my goal. That's what I want.
I mean, as someone who has, trained in acting, like, the first thing that they tell you about improvisation is that you don't say no. You say yes and.
Yeah.
You, when I heard that part, because you're right, that absolutely stood out to me as well, was the fact that he was like, it's too high level. And I'm like, okay, if I wanted to know that something was too high level, I'd play, like, a video game.
Yeah.
Like, I'd play a video game that's going to make it obvious that, like, but this is storytelling. Make it part of the story. You want to show me that it's too high level? Show me that it's too high level.
Let me try.
Take me there.
Yeah.
Let me try. Let me fail. And then let me learn something from that.
Exactly.
And then that I can take on. Or if you're like, look, I'm scared that my players are going to die because the storyline that was going to go down has an enemy that I've already planned out the combat, I've already planned it, blah, blah. Don't be afraid to throw out what you've planned in order to create a good game.
Yeah.
And if your players are like, we want to follow this thing, stopping them, it's not. It's basically teaching your players that the game's on rails.
Yeah.
And their choices don't matter. And that's not fun either.
I will say one thing though. If you look, I get it. Like you don't want your players to immediately go from level 1 to killing the BBEG. But I'm gonna be real with you. You're the dungeon master, and it is within your control to just not give them that opportunity. Like, you don't need to open the doors to Ice Crown Citadel and the Throne of the Lich King at level 1. You can have that happen later on.
Give them a taste of what they'll be up against. Like, give them a taste of what that defeat feels like.
If it's impossible right now, don't give them that opportunity right away. What are you doing? Anyway.
Yeah, or even give them like a slight viewing of what it is that they'll be up against in the future, and then have like the bad guy just be like, "You guys are below me.
Yeah.
Like, I don't even want, like, you're nothing to me." And like, how is that going to feel as a player? Like, you're going to be like,
"Now I
this
want power
guy,
up,
like, you know, yeah."
Like,
and then that you're going to be like, okay, like, looking at his stats, being like, oh, he's a flyer, so, okay, maybe we should start looking into making sure that one of us can fly.
Yeah, or have range implements.
Yeah, exactly. Like, you've created a world, let your people play in that world. Yeah. I mean, unless, obviously, like, you're kind of doing more of a, like, a very structured game of,
which is also fine, but tell your players that first.
And that's fine. Yeah, exactly. Exactly. Like, we are definitely, working off the, assumption that this is all sandbox. But yes, definitely tell your players first if it's going to be a sandbox or more on rails. Yeah.
Yeah. I think that we thoroughly dissected that one. What time is it? We're 18. Oh man, we're 18 minutes into this already. Thank God we didn't do a third, because we would have gone for 27 minutes. Holy crap. But hey, I'm not complaining. This has been a lot of fun. But yeah, overall, like, it's okay to say no to some things, but sometimes you gotta just let what happens happens. And if your game's more structured, tell them that. And if you want to make a more realistic world, think about why you're doing that in the first place. But yeah, there you go. There's your lessons. There's your voicemails. Thank you so much for sending those in. If you want to send your own voicemails, there's a link in the description. There's a 1 minute 30 limit. You can let us know your woes and horror if you have any. I guess you could also say hi. You know, some people do that too. But yeah. Anyway, if you guys. No, I was about to do the outro, but I almost forgot. We do have an end segment. It's time for Thing of the Week. Hit the thing.
Like every couple of weeks or so, like I'll get like a few people just from like other sides of the world just messaging me, just being like, I've watched the show and I love your character, and it's actually incredible, like, sometimes the stories that people will come out with of just, like, you know, I was in a dark place, and I watched this to kind of get me through it, and I think it's really beautiful when, like, even without knowing or thinking about it, that there are ways that you are able to be important and impactful to other people. And that's definitely something that's made me happy this week, was receiving those kinds of messages and, you know, being able to help people, even if indirectly, kind of just get through some, like, hard stuff, because sometimes all you need is just a laugh, like, to laugh at something silly, because things can get overwhelming and dark, and it's nice to have a bit of light in that. So, yeah, that's something that's made me happy this week.
Well, my thing of the week is the $20 discount on the TIE Interceptor versus Mandalorian Fang Fighter Lego set at Costco. So
yeah, just as important. Absolutely. Absolutely.
How was I
wins.
supposed to follow that up? I said,
no, Catty wins.
Anyway,
absolutely.
So yeah, this week I was shopping at Costco, the holiest of places, and I was walking by. I was on the phone.
I've never stepped a foot into a Costco.
We got remedy that sometime.
Never done it.
Well, it's not. I think in Australia.
Oh, it is.
It is.
We do have a Costco. Yeah, we have a Costco. You guys somehow made it over here.
We made it. 14-hour time difference. We made it.
So there's a discount. Like, should I go now or?
I mean, dude, honestly, like, hey, here's the story. Here's the grub. I was walking down, just got a haircut. I'm feeling great, and I'm walking through I'm on the phone with some family, and I walk by and I see a Lego section at the Costco, and I'm like, oh, you know what this means? Sweet deals. I walk down and I see this lady staring at a set, looking very dejected, and you know what that means?
Oh.
That means that lady is mourning the fact that she bought it for full price when it's on sale right there. So while that lady was looking dejected, I was floating on cloud nine as I walked up to this set that I've wanted for a couple months now. I walked up and I saw 20% off, and I instantly picked it up. So now it's over there. It's in the other room. I'm gonna build it in the.
Have you done it yet?
No,
Have
because
you opened it?
I just finished. Can you see it? I just finished that at the top. I don't know if you can see him, but Sonic Green Hill Zone is at the top there. I also just finished modifying. Where is it? That T-Rex Rampage, which is also up there, and in the living room I have a collection of. I think I totaled it at $4,000 of other Lego that I also finished.
Lego is so expensive.
I have a problem.
I had a Lego addiction as a kid. Like, I had, like, the big blue box of just, like, loose Lego, and I would just build, like, everything out of that. But yeah, as I've gotten older, it's just like, I can't afford this. Like, I'm just gonna stick to puzzles. Like, this is a puzzle that I've just framed, because I think it's really
beautiful.
Pretty.
Much more affordable than my crippling addiction to Lego.
Yeah, and then also, like, if you've got like a framed a puzzle piece, cats can't knock that over, whereas like a Lego on display is very easily knocked over and then destroyed and then lost pieces. So I'm like, rather
this
just
is why
have it
I live 100% alone to protect the Lego.
Honestly, yeah, just.
Absolutely. That's the only reason, to protect the Lego. Yeah. But yeah, there you go. Yeah. A very deep thing of the week and a really stupid one. But hey, the duel.
No, oh my god, no. absolutely. Like you were feeling yourself, which is nice, and then you got something that you wanted, and you got it on sale. Like,
Thank you.
that's such a win.
Thank you. I appreciate that. But anyway, dude, thank you so much for coming on the show. It was so awesome to have you. Like, this was way more fun than I could have ever anticipated. This is so much fun.
Yay! I had so much fun.
By the way, before we do the outro, we gotta roll out the red carpet. Like, what you got going on this week? Is there what projects are going up this week that you're in? What have you got going on? Tell us what you have, and we'll talk about it.
I mean, I'm kind of just chilling at this point. I'm not working. I'm not working in acting full time at the moment, or even content creation full time. I'm actually studying at the moment. So I'm, it's, my Instagram's happening. I'm on Twitter, the social media site formerly known as Twitter. Sometimes.
Don't say that. Dies of cringe.
Honestly, yeah. I'm active like on those social medias. But yeah, that's kind of it. I'm not really sure if we've got anything Deerstalker coming out recently, like soon. Like, we did just film some things, so those should be coming out in a couple months, but not in like the next week or so, I don't believe.
Well, as of today, Friday, Thursday, the 24th of August, I believe a recent Nixie episode just dropped where you talked to a fireball, so...
Yes. So there is an episode that is already out. Yes, this is actually probably one of the more, like, going into the actual lore of the characters episode.
Does she have a patron?
Well, that's the thing, is that now everyone's just kind of like going, oh, like, what's the relationship there? And, like, even I'm curious. I'm like, oh, I wonder what's going to be the next installment of that
awesome.
kind of story.
But yeah, there you go.
Yeah.
Like I said, thank you so much for coming on the show. Hey, if you guys enjoyed the show, then please do leave a like. If you want to see more of our content, then you can check out our RPG Horror Story series, where we cover the best of the worst of Dungeons & Dragons. And while you're there, it's linked in the cards. And while you're there, subscribe to Crispy's Tavern to get more of our content as it comes out. And finally, if you want to leave your own stories, thoughts, or voicemails, hey, head down into the comments down below. If you can't think of a comment, leave the comment fireball to let me know you made it to the end of the show. In essence, like,
absolutely, fireball, and then the little emoji if you've got it.
If you got a little emoji, then yes, that would be awesome.
Yeah.
In essence, like, comment, subscribe. We will both see you all next time. Farewell.